Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, we all know the narrative, right? Donald Trump is an agent of chaos that must be stopped. Of course, this narrative started back in 2016. It was a desperate attempt to try to stop Donald Trump. They told you that not only was he dangerous, but that he was so dangerous that voting for him would essentially be voting for World War III. Trump cannot be trusted with the nuclear codes is what they told you. He's going to start another world war. He's going to lead the world to nuclear apocalypse. Well, of course, we've heard it all, but we're hearing it again as the Democrats dive right back into that desperate, insane rhetoric. I mean, here we go again.
I truly don't understand how and why anyone can see that this guy is a viable candidate. We are talking about someone that literally may start World War III.
10 people who have had that awesome responsibility have come out and in an unprecedented way said they would not trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes or to have his finger on the nuclear button.
If that new president is named Trump, America, and no doubt the world, will worry about nuclear war in a way it has never worried before.
Oh, not to mention the threat that Donald Trump is going to shut off the internet.
Could be picked up by Trump and used for domestic political purposes. He could invoke powers we've never heard a president of the United States invoke, potentially to shut down companies or turn off the internet.
Or start coming after journalists like Joy Behar.
He's already said he's going to come after people like General John Kelly, my former boss, Chairman Mark Milley, people who dare to stand against him, Mike Pence.
Journalists.
I think there's reason for all this to be concerned.
What about us?
But there's a really interesting...
Try it. Go ahead, try it. We have this show every day, okay, Donald?
So the anti-Trump propaganda campaign is in full swing once again, making the argument that a second Trump term would be destabilizing. But of course, the question is, rhetoric's one thing, are the American people buying it? Well, based on limited polling data, based on what we have so far, it turns out that the answer is no. Nobody seems to be buying this crap. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so obviously there's two elements to this narrative. It's a binary choice going into the next election. It's Trump or Biden. They tell you Trump's going to start World War III, and Joe Biden, he's the experienced diplomat who can maintain peace and global order. Well, according to the latest Fox News poll, it turns out that that narrative isn't exactly selling well.
We asked voters out there, do you think President Biden or President Trump is better equipped to handle, who do you trust to handle more this Israel-Hamas split, this conflict? Michigan voters give Trump an 8-point advantage. North Carolina voters give President Trump a 15-point advantage. And those results come on the heels of an NBC News poll that says this: 3/4 of voters, including half of Democrats, say they have concerns about President Biden's mental and physical health. And those numbers are before the Her report came out.
It's actually not even close. Trump leads by a 15-point margin in North Carolina and an 8-point margin in Michigan when it comes to who voters trust more to handle the Israel/Hamas war. A little bit confusing because I thought Trump sabotages everything. I thought Trump destroys everything he touches. I thought he was on the side of the dictators. A little bit interesting considering he's supposedly going to start World War III. I mean, which one is it? Is he going to start a war against the world's dictators or is he going to join them? I don't know, seems a little bit confusing. But anyways, the point is that the people aren't buying it. Joe Biden, the career diplomat, the typical politician, he's got the experience, he's got the know-how. I mean, that was his expertise. He dealt with foreign relations a substantial amount during his time as vice president under Barack Obama. He's got the experience, but apparently not enough experience to know which countries are part of frickin' NATO. Here he is discussing the latest spending bill, which would send money primarily to 3 different countries. That's Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan.
The idea that we're going to walk away from Ukraine, the idea that we're going to let NATO begin to split, is totally against the interests of the United States of America, and it is against our word we've given since all the way back to Eisenhower. So it's about time we make sure that Congress come home and pass the legislation funding NATO. It's critical.
Yeah, he called it a NATO funding bill. This guy is off his frickin' rocker. He's supposedly the experienced foreign policy diplomat that's gonna avoid World War III as he plunges the world into absolute chaos. And yeah, he's the guy, the same guy, who'll have billions of dollars of munition, equipment, weapons for Al-Qaeda and the Taliban to simply scoop up in Afghanistan, which Joe Biden just recently went on the record claiming he made no mistakes in the withdrawal of Afghanistan. New book claims that Biden doesn't think he did anything wrong in botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Yeah, that's the guy with foreign policy experience who's gonna bring peace to the world. You know, that might have worked in 2020. Severely uninformed voters might buy into that narrative. But now, after more than 3 years of witnessing the actual reality of Biden leadership, I think it's pretty hard for a lot of people to come to that conclusion. You know, there never seems to be an actual argument from the left as to why Trump's ideas are actually wrong. The only tactic that they have in their playbook is out of this world wacko conspiracies that are meant to push fear, fear-mongering propaganda. Trump's gonna shut down the internet. Trump's gonna install himself as a dictator. Trump's gonna start World War III. Trump's gonna lead to nuclear Armageddon. Who's gonna round up minority groups and put them in internment camps. This is the rhetoric that they use. It's the only thing you ever hear. Here's a great example of that. Liz Cheney making an appearance on CNN.
He's basically made clear that under a Trump administration, the United States is unlikely to keep its NATO commitments. And I think that Republicans who understand the importance of the national security situation, who continue to support him, are similarly going to be held to account. You know, when you think about Donald Trump, for example, pledging retribution, what Vladimir Putin did to Navalny is what retribution looks like in a country where the leader is not subject to the rule of law. And I think that we have to take Donald Trump very seriously. We have to take seriously the extent to which, you've now got a Putin wing of the Republican Party. I believe the issue this election cycle is making sure the Putin wing of the Republican Party does not take over the West Wing of the White House.
So the implication is that Trump's going to install himself as a dictator and start taking the lives, ending his political opponents. I mean, we're talking about absolutely unhinged, wild stuff. Everything in the era of Trump is this great, grand, existential threat. Everything is life or death. It's the threat of fascism, the threat of nuclear apocalypse, the threat of this, that, and the other. The most extreme thing that you could possibly imagine, that's what we face under a second term of Donald Trump. Even though I think most people pretty much already know, considering Trump was president before, not too long ago, people already know what a Trump term is like. It's the boy who cried wolf once again. They told us the exact same thing in 2016, that he would start World War III. It turns out not a single war was even started. Very little conflict, a whole lot of peace agreements, a whole lot of negotiations and trade deals. And then the literal second we saw that office switch and Joe Biden, the very experienced diplomat, assumed that role, global chaos, war after war, endless conflict, and an overall threat to the American way of life. It's blatantly obvious, and voters in some of the most important swing states can clearly make that obvious distinction, regardless of how many billions of dollars of news airtime goes to promoting the exact opposite narrative. In other words, thankfully, common sense wins the day, and the fearmongers are losing big. That's what I got for you guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.